Hi, I wanted to correct something on the previous video to make sure the numbers harmonize with the ones on the worksheet. The trading exercise involves the electric generation industry, and the industry has 7 companies in it. Each student will be a company, so company A, B, C, etc., and you can sort that out. The first step is to compute the command control costs of complying with regulation. And the whole goal here is to show you that trading saves money compared to command control, that the flexibility that trading offers will save companies money and thereby ratepayers money. So we'll do command control costs first, and then we're going to look for trading opportunities. We'll do that in 2 ways. I'll explain those in a second. We'll sum up for all 7 companies, if you have 7 in your group, 6 if you have 6 in your group, etc. The total cost of command control regulation, we'll compare that with the costs with trading, and then we'll look at the savings that trading create for us. Command control example for company A. The way the chart is set up, the top row says that company A will emit 80,000 tons in 2014. The company knows what electricity demand is likely to be, and thereby knows, given the carbon content of the fuel that it uses, what its emissions will be. It only has allowances or licenses for 60,000 tons, so it needs to clean up 20,000 tons. It can do this in 2 ways. It can use technology, scrubbers on the smokestack that capture the sulfur as it's emitted, and that costs $180 a ton to clean up. It can switch to cleaner coal at $200 a ton. Now, we're cost conscious, and so we're going to use the lower cost of those. We'll purchase sufficient technology to reduce 20,000 tons of sulfur dioxide emissions at a cost of $3.6 million. Those are the command control compliance costs for company A, $3.6 million. Now, the company could stop there, and for command control, that's exactly what it will do. But given that there's opportunities for trading that will arise here in the next step, the company could clean up more than 20,000 tons and sell those extra allowances, the extra cleanup, to other companies in the industry. As long as it's selling for over $180 a ton for scrubber cleanup and over $200 a ton for cleanup via clean coal, those profits, the amount over 180, the amount over 200, will offset its own compliance costs. So let's suppose that it sold 10,000 tons of cleanup that cost it $180 a ton, sold it for 200. Well, that's 10,000 tons times $20 a ton. That's $200,000 that is then used to offset the overall compliance costs of the company. So that's company A. Now, company G is in a different situation. According to the worksheet, company G will emit 140,000 tons of SO2 in 2014 and has allowances only for half of that amount. So it needs to clean up 70,000 tons. It can clean up 30,000 with scrubbers and 30,000 more with clean coal, but that leaves 10,000 tons unaccounted for. So its cleanup costs are going to be 270 times 30, that's the scrubbers, 350 times 30, that's the clean coal, plus the fines that it has to pay to the environmental agency, 2,000 times 10,000. And I didn't write down the total, but I think it's 38.6 million. So huge command control costs. Obviously, if company G can simply buy 10,000 tons of cleanup, say from company A, at a cost of anything less than 2,000, it's going to save money. If it paid 400, that's still a $1,600 times 10,000 savings. So huge savings out there. Okay, I want to talk about the trading part of the exercise now. There's 2 approaches to this. One is you figure out if you're a seller or a buyer, and that's pretty easy. Do you have low costs or high costs? And then you contact companies that you think are on the other side of that position and you strike a deal. So you need to consider how much you want to clean up, at what price, and so on. And that's fine. It takes some time. But if you post like a bulletin board with emissions that you want to sell and a price, I think it can go pretty quickly. The other approach is to work cooperatively and create a supply curve. And I'll go through that in a little detail. Actual trading, I think, is pretty obvious. So I'll kind of let that go. And this just says that which companies are liable to have be buyers or be sellers. Now I want to talk about the supply curve because it's a teeny bit complicated. So let's start, as we do with any supply curve, with the lowest cost provider. And we know that that's Company A. And Company A can generate 50,000 tons of cleanup at $180 per ton. For the meantime, we ignore Company A's internal demand. We ignore all internal demand. We'll have aggregate demand later on. So Company A can supply 50,000 tons of cleanup at $180 per ton. Companies A and B can supply 60,000 tons at $200 per ton each, supplying 30,000 tons. Next, Company C can supply 50,000 tons at $220 per ton. Now, we've gone through a couple steps. Let's see what it looks like. Here's the cumulative supply in the sort of middle of this table. We have 50,000 at 180. We have 110,000 at 200 and below. We have 160,000 at 220 and below, and so on. And we can build this table up. And what we do then is continue to accumulate the supply until it meets demand. So we get a sort of a clearing quantity. Now, how do you find demand? Well, here's what we do. We just look across the top two rows of the table. We know that Company A needs 20,000 tons. We know that Company B needs 40,000. We know that Company C needs 70,000, and we add them up. So demand is going to be a single number. We don't have a demand curve. We have a demand quantity, and it'll make a vertical line on a typical axis. If you do the trading, you just add up the cost of trading and compare that to command control. If you use a supply curve, go up the supply curve, and that will allow you to figure out what the optimal costs from trading could be. As I mentioned, actual trading sometimes misses some of the best cost savings, so you have to be a little careful. The supply curve will give you the ideal, as I say, and it's not as much fun maybe as trading, but it sure gives you the right answer. Well, have fun trading. Thanks. Bye-bye.